but let me start off, and I hate to start off on a negative note, but I am very, very, very upset with the Department of Transportation. You know, I've been working on a project in my district for over 10 years, and that project is the Travers Park project and the 78th Street, Play Street. We permanently closed 78th Street. We purchased land from the private school that is on 78th Street. We provided about $13 million in funding for this project, mostly from council funding, some from the borough president, and a little bit from the mayor as well, previous administration. And about 3.5 months ago, I found out that the plans, which we also had visioning sessions with the community, 4 visioning sessions where people from the community came in and you know, sat with DOT, hundreds and hundreds of people, probably one of the biggest visioning sessions that you've had, and together as a community with the department and with the Department of Parks, decided what the that park renovation, that plaza renovation would look like. Now it has been said that we're going to allow cars onto that plaza or to that park. And that is just totally unacceptable. And what is really concerning to me is that I was not informed of this until after 2 months when the business who's using the auto dealership, the Koeppel auto dealership, that's using the closed-off street for his own purposes to get into his garage, and also for service work. He's doing service work in the plaza. Okay, and also parents from the neighboring garden school are using it and driving through it because they're picking up kids and dropping off kids. And that now you and the Department of Parks have agreed to redesign the plaza. Now, I've never heard of a plaza or even a park being redesigned when it's in the middle of a project. And the major point of contention here is that Koeppel wants to continue to use his curb cut and his, what he believes is his own private driveway for cars to get into his dealership. So what I want to know is who did Koeppel reach out to? How did the meeting with Koeppel round about November or December occur?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And obviously, I want to say up front, we're very sorry for the situation and understand your frustration. And I can assure you, this is, something that is being tried to work out at the highest levels: law department, city hall, DOT, parks, and Department of Buildings. I'll give you the chronology as best as I understand it, while admitting that I, only sort of became aware of the controversy and the problems that were occurring sort of later this year. But, my understanding, the history here is, the plaza was designed with one property owner that, had made it clear they had no interest in using that curb cut, which is a legal curb cut to the building. And then in the middle of last year, unfortunately, the property changed hands. The new owner, Howard Koeppel, came in and started a process, I guess. It's
actually the same property owner. It's a trust, but it's just a different dealership. It was a Toyota dealership.
Different sort of person on the ground of the building. And I guess, and again, I don't know Mr. Koeppel. I've never met him, but I guess he started doing a sort of a rehab of the building and changing the orientation of how his operations were going to work. My understanding, and I think you'll need Parks Department to confirm this, is sometimes towards the end of last year, he reached out to people in Parks, I don't know who, apologize, and I think his plans were not totally formalized at that time, but started to talk to them. They pulled us in at some point, and I apologize if you feel like there was a period of radio silence. I don't think it was intentional. I think it sounds like all parties were trying to see if they could come to a solution that would have a good outcome. Obviously, they failed.
A good solution without involving the council member or the community.
Well, again, I think
after all of that outreach was done,
again, I think there was
unbelievable.
I think there was potentially a hope that they could come back with something that that you and the community would like. Obviously, that did not happen.
Without community input. After we did 4 visioning sessions, and people know how active and involved that community is, how that community and the Jackson Heights Green Alliance has worked with the Department of Transportation to do the street closures in the first place, they were totally ignored.
Well, I think my understanding is a little different than yours, and I'm sorry if I feel that way. I think there was a period where the city was trying to negotiate with Mr. Koeppel. I think when they sensed that that wasn't favorable, they came back to you and to the advocates, and we're keenly aware, believe me, of how
They went to
unhappy the
Koeppel,
advocates.
Commissioner, they went to Koeppel first, okay? They did not go to the community, they did not go to me, they did not tell me until 2.5 months after meeting with Koeppel. It was in fact Koeppel who first informed me that the Department of Transportation and the Parks Department had decided to redesign the plaza and the park.
Yeah,
So I can't get to the bottom of this. This is why I'm putting you on the record, and you are under oath.
Right, and again, I'm giving you the version as I know it, which is Mr. Koeppel reached out to the Parks Department first, Parks Department then communicated
Are there
with-
any other examples of businesses that get to redesign parks?
Well, I think this is a strange case in that we have a lot of plazas in which there are curb cuts.
Commissioner, are
and
there any other
is-
examples of businesses who get to redesign parks and/or plazas?
Well, I guess I would say probably in the case of a lot of parks and plazas, we've made changes to the designs due to all kinds of community feedback, public and private. This one,
After it's been designed?
yeah, I mean, we make changes to our
Like where?
plaza designs. I don't have to someone will have to give me a list of some of those. This admittedly is a very unique case. I've worked on dozens of plazas. I've never known of one that's had exactly this circumstance. We do have plazas that have curb cuts. This is an unusual one in that I think we all thought the curb cut was dormant, and obviously when a new building manager came in, they brought the curb cut back to life. That is a situation I have never seen before. Usually if they're live curb cuts, we design the plazas to accommodate them. So this is one, at least it's unique in my experience.
Well, it's very interesting because the Garden School's curb cuts were taken away, and the Koeppel was originally taken away in the design, and now all of a sudden he's being given access to curb cuts after the design has been completed. I don't, for the life of me, understand it. Do you know, Commissioner, that on Northern Boulevard, over the last 3 years, I have had 6 children killed within the vicinity of this plaza and park?
I mean, look, I am obviously very aware of all the fatalities on Northern Boulevard.
Kids.
And that is why
Okay,
in
and you're
this,
talking about putting cars into a park.
that is why in this budget, as I
Okay,
just
and
mentioned.
is that part of Vision Zero?
It's not part of Vision Zero, but again, I think we have just a legal
Do cars
matter
and kids
to...
mix?
It's a legal matter to wrangle with here. Mr. Koeppel has chosen to exercise his legal right to use that curb cut, as I've said.
And you have complied with him.
Well, not yet. As I said, I think every part of city government
No,
is
right
trying to
now, that
decide-
is a closed street. And you are allowing him to use the closed street for his own purposes, and you have accommodated him at his request without even informing the council member. I mean, how much worse can this get?
Well, I guess I sort of have a different understanding of it. I'm sorry if you view it that
Commissioner,
way.
if you
I think
haven't even been informed by the Queensborough Commissioner about what the situation is, that speaks volumes to what's going on in the Queen's office. I would suggest that you look into it. Okay, I really would.
Okay.
I mean, I am not going to give up on this.
All right.
And what the city should do here is go forward with the original plans and let him sue. Okay, let him sue. Okay, because this involves children's lives. And I'm tired of hearing the nonsense. It took us years to fight to get the money for Northern Boulevard, to get the redesign in Northern Boulevard. I haven't even been fully informed about what that design in Northern Boulevard is going to look like. I understand some islands are going to be put in, maybe some LPIs are going to be put in, but I haven't been informed of that. And this is after I've tried to work with your agency. Let me go on.